Run.
All right. We'll get in that. Item number 4, deliberate and consider action on the following items. Have 2 signed up to speak and address Commissioners Court. That'll be Clinto Brown and Gage Brown. Do you want to speak now? Kinney? Okay, come on. Both of their issue has to deal with Gage's issue is addressing item 4F and so forth, replacing Judge Shahan with myself on the 391 commission. So,
yes, sir. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak, Judge and Commissioners. And I'd like to speak in support of item 4F and speak in support of this 391 commission being used as a mechanism, a vehicle for us to slow down at the very least and stop this transmission line from coming through our county. So I'm here to speak on the extra high voltage transmission line that our government is planning to build through this county. And the bottom line is that this is the biggest slap in the face that our government could deal to agricultural producers and land stewards who have spent generations tending this land. And you guys are the government too. So I expect you to do everything in your power as commissioners and judge to slow down and stop this line from coming through our county. The preferred route forward cuts right through my family's ranch, which we've stewarded since the turn of the century. It cuts right next to our hunter's camp and not far from our house where my nephew lives, who's about to turn 2 years old. Researchers have actually concluded that for children, the skull bones are not yet fully developed in the sense that they're tender, and magnetic field penetration will be higher for that reason. Researchers in England have reported that children living within 650 feet of power lines had a 70% greater risk for leukemia than children living 2,000 feet or more away. We're going to have to drive under this line to even get to and from our house every day. And you're not even supposed to go within 650 feet of one. How are we expected to do that? Many researchers have studied the effect also of electromagnetic fields on animals. In order to do this, they kept the cages of animals under a high electromagnetic field about 30 kilovolts per meter. And this line is going to be a 765 kilovolt line. The results of these experiments are shocking, as animals which acquired charge during this exposure, when they had to drink water, a spark started jumping from their nose to grounded water, and hens who had acquired a charge were unable to pick up grain because of the chattering of their beaks, which also affected their growth. What is this going to do to our livestock, our migratory birds, our wildlife, our deer, and our families? You'll be able to see this line from miles away, so even if it isn't going through your land, it will ruin the landscape that we all grew up with. At minimum, a 250-foot easement is required, and easements this obstructed will devalue property around 45%. That's almost half the value of our land gone overnight. It also devalues the land of anyone within eyesight of the line. And considering our ranch at Turkey Mountain is the highest elevation in the county, a lot of people will see this line. When constructing the line, they're going to need to drill boreholes up to 55 feet deep and 10 feet wide into our delicate karst limestone formations, filling it with hundreds of tons of concrete. How will this affect the way rain recharges our aquifer and the way water flows underground into wells that we've spent millions of dollars to drill? This amount of concrete production also requires extremely high quantities of water, and I'm sure these construction crews won't be hauling their own water in for the project. What about stirring up anthrax during the construction? All of these risks need to be communicated to our legislators and to our governor. And this communication shouldn't just be coming from citizens like me, but from you, our elected representatives. In conclusion, you couldn't pay us any amount of money that would justify this. It needs to be stopped. My greatest concern of all is that this line will not be an isolated development. It is common knowledge among people who have thoroughly researched this line that it's intended to pave the way for the explosion of AI data centers and other developments along its route. This place will become data center alley. With our already suffering water system and ranchers struggling to make a living, the industrialization of this place would be our final death blow. It would kill this community as we know it. I expect you to do everything in your power to protect the citizens you represent and not sell us out to developers. I'll be watching very closely how you handle this, and I look forward to working with any landowners, community members, and elected officials to slow and stop this project. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Brown. Any comments or anything there? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Brown. All right. Also, to sign up regarding the transmission line is Clinto Brown. Address the court this morning, Mr. Brown.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you, Gage, for kind of explaining the seriousness of this project. I just feel like we've been hit with a bombshell. You know, things are just happening so fast on this issue. You know, I never dreamed it would get this far along as a proposed route for this thing to come right through this county, and especially my family's ranch. I'm Clinton Brown. If y'all don't know me, I think I know all of y'all, but yeah, my family's owned a ranch, Turkey Mountain Ranch, for since probably the 30s of 1900, you know, and they're proposing, or their proposed most selective line or route, it goes right through the heart of Turkey Mountain Ranch, the best part of it, right next to the nucleus of the ranch, tanks, Indian mounds, springs, houses, RVs. I mean, bat roosts. The list goes on, and so, like I said, I feel blindsided, as do I think a lot of other people that they're proposing coming through their property. So I'm just begging of y'all, please, to do anything you can to at least slow this down. We're ranchers, property owners can at least, you know, get a foothold and absorb what's happening and have time to do what we can to research it and you know, I mean, in my opinion, fight it, because, like I say, it would be devastating to me. You know, generations have given their life to have what we have. As some of y'all know, you know, the ranching community, you know, our ancestors have not only our ancestors, ourselves have lived, died, breathed blood, sweat, and tears to have what we have, and to have somebody come in and just belligerently take over it's just devastating. And I just beg of y'all to please do everything you can in your power. Thank you.
All right. All right, those are the only two that have signed up to address Commissioners Court this morning, so we'll proceed with back to our agenda. Item F this morning is just approved to remove Kelly Shahan from the 391 Commission and appoint John Paul Fisher as the county representative on the commission. As you recall, about 5 years ago, 2021, so 5 years ago, a 391 commission was created because of the border crisis, and the members of that 391 were the city of Uvalde and Uvalde County. Part of our help to work and combat the transmission line was to revamp, bring back our 391 commission, but each entity has a representative. Only the members in our COG can be part of our 391 commission. So the 8 counties that are in our COG and all those cities that were within our COG, our original COG, and for the city of Uvalde, it was Mayor McLaughlin. For the county of Uvalde, it was Judge Mitchell. And for Kinney County, it was Judge Shankman. So all 3 of those have been removed or retired or gone on to other things. So our action here, and I talked to Uvalde and the city, Uvalde County and the city of Uvalde last week, and asked them to put it on their agenda items for their council members to take action to appoint the mayor, Lovano, to replace Mayor McLaughlin, and the county to replace Judge Mitchell and Commissioner Copeland. And so they're going to take those action items and stuff to give us another arm of questions and stuff. And Brent can share a little bit more about the 391 with us.
If y'all don't recall, Chapter 391 in the local government code is kind of unique because it allows any entity, business entity, or I'm sorry, government entity to join together and form basically an advisory group. And the piece behind it is that they have to be involved in planning or development of business or government. And it's been litigated before when I think Governor Perry tried to put in a super interstate through Texas up from Mexico to Canada, and it got stopped. And for one of the reasons it was stopped back then, I believe, was environmental assessments, rerouting of school buses, and things of that nature. So it's not a huge hammer to just force them, but it forces them to the table with local government. And it applies both to state and federal agencies. They have to meet with these 391 commissions. We formed one, like Judge Schuster was saying, in 2021. It's still in existence to this day, but we need to replace members on it that no longer hold the office. We need to adopt a resolution once it's reformed or once it's updated. And then at that point, we can invite other counties to join it, one being possibly Valverde, if they would want to join it with us. But you're limited to within your own call. So we can't, get, Fletcher County or, other counties outside our call to join. It has to be within the same county of government. But all those things need to occur once the 390 commission meets. The only thing for the commissioners court to do at this point is appoint the person to represent the county. And then once the 391 commission meets, that's when they can invite others to join, adopt resolutions, make other appointments. But this is kind of step one of the morning. And just for the public, the county commissioners here, y'all passed a resolution against the project a few months ago. We were one of the few in the area that did. I've already just recently passed one, but they're, in my opinion, about 3 months behind. We've done that 3 months ago. So this issue is going to be very taxing on us trying to find a way to stop it. Most counties can't sue with it unless you have standing. Standing would be if the county owned property in the middle of this right of way, which we don't, I don't believe. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. So we're going to be looking at that. I don't know anybody that's supporting the project. Except maybe, in Austin. Anyway, that's kind of my spiel on that, but we're looking at ways to fight this. This is going to be an uphill battle for sure.
Okay. Also on this, April 1st is the deadline to do your filing through the the Public Utilities Commission. So I encourage everyone in here to even though you're not an affected landowner, you're an affected taxpayer. So you can go on the PUC's webpage. If you go on the Devil's River Conservancy page at the bottom or on the right, there's an article about this transmission line, and it has some links in there and some guides to kind of file. There's kind of two filings. You're an intervener if you're actually a landowner that's affected by it, or you file kind of the protester or whatever, but you can make comments in there and so forth. The intervener has a little bit more steps to do to file and so forth. But if you want to do it as a written deal, you print the form or whatever and do it as a written deal. But it has to be in Austin for the Public Utilities Commission by April 1st. You can't be postmarked April 1st. So we're streaming against the deadline here. Interveners, the proposed route is the red line. Okay, it goes through the county and everything. Interveners are still, everyone that has a blue line on their property could still potentially end up with the route. Okay, it has to go to court, the judge will determine and so forth. But as an intervener, you can mark if you'd like to testify or not testify. There's some other things. So some of us had blue lines in the county in the original spaghetti bowl. Okay, and there was actually 5 routes through the county. You remember talking about there's 5 routes. Now it's down to this one proposed route, but there's some other blue lines off of that they could alternately, instead of going like straight west, they can maybe turn and go north a little bit up a line and then back west or something. So I learned last week when we were in Del Rio to meet, if you have a blue line, you still have a blue line, and you received a packet the other day. I received a packet as the judge. Other landowners received a packet because they had a blue line still, or their property was within 500 feet of this proposed route, and so forth. So April 1st, get that stuff taken care of. I've been in contact with Judge Huckabee out of ERAF County. Him and I've been playing some phone tag and stuff and everything. But there's actually 4 transmission lines being proposed throughout the state of Texas. 2, I believe, are as big. Ours and another one, that one up around ERAF County, I believe is as big as our line. Is it not? How big is it? It's a 765 too, isn't it? But the other 2 that are over in East Texas are smaller lines. They're not as big, but there's 4 deals. You can go on the AEPtransmission.com page, pick Texas, pick the Howard Solis, and you can see there's 77 alternate routes right now. This route 4 is what they're requesting, is what their application was to the CCN on which route they'd like to take. But all of us as landowners, our hunters can file as leasees. If you're leasing a place as a grazing, you can file as a leasee there as well. So there's an opportunity for everyone to file, even if you're an absentee owner, but you lease a property or something like that, you can still file. There's 2 different filings, kind of as a protest or against the deal or whatever, but then an intervener, they call them interveners, and those are your landowners that could possibly be affected. So even if you're not in the red line right now, but you still have a blue line, the judge, when he makes the determination, is going to go to a judge for a determination and so forth. He could accept the route that's being proposed, or he could reroute it to any of those blue lines, okay, through there right now. So I encourage those folks to talk to your deer hunters, talk to your, like if you're an LLC, each individual family member or whatever in the LLC file as interveners and so forth and stuff like that. Yes, ma'am.
I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to ask a question because we're filing as interveners, but it's really a sham process to make us feel like we're doing something. This is a private entity who's going to come in and build this thing according to that process. But at the end of the day, it is political. So I'm wondering if y'all have already reached out to our legislators about this, and what have those discussions been like?
Just, okay, thank you, Judge. Yes, we're aware of it, and we're not happy that's coming through here either, but we got some questions and we're having some meetings and stuff. That's about it. I mean, there's but if you can get that Senator Roland Gutierrez, he never responds. Eddie Morales is very good help.
Although he was supportive of this bill, he was one of the main supporters.
Yeah, I remember that, it passed in 2023. It passed in 23 when the legislature took the action to approve this and everything. And then just all of a sudden it like hit the afterburner jets about 10, 11 months ago and stuff. So, but I sent our resolution opposing it. I sent it to our state rep and our state senator, but also sent it out to like 6 other senators and reps. That just kind of, I knew of them or whatnot, and stuff, but no, but it's basically it's neighbor against neighbor.
Yep.
That's what they're doing. They're wanting us to implode against ourselves. If we got rid of it and moved it into Edwards County, and then we haven't or Rialp County or whatever. I mean, it's just it's a bad deal to be politically correct. It's a bad deal. But what even seems to make you have the worst heartburn is how fast it's moving. That's right. Rather than like, hey, are we really stopping this out to pick the best, least harmful route? Okay.
It's not it's in electricity.
There's no, in the whole grand scheme of things, ERCOT is not increasing any electricity into the power grid. They're rerouting power grid. They're rerouting power. They're taking dependable coal power that they know they can burn and get to sub it out there because the wind and solar out there can't produce enough reliable electricity. They had the opportunity to rebuild and reconstruct the current transmission line, and they chose not to. My understanding is from Judge Shanklin that they're going to run the electricity from out there back down the old line to sub and help what the coal plant's lacking to service the coal plant area. So we haven't resolved our shortage of electricity or anything like that and so forth. So it's a little frustrating, very mind-boggling. Yes, ma'am.
If they have stated why they can't follow the I-10 corridor, it goes straight where they want to go.
It's so much more developed, and to me, economically for them probably, they can't afford to run it down through there. So they take these the rural routes, the less populated routes. Atascosa, for us, it's affecting, I think, around 19 properties, 18 or 19 properties, which is like 17 landowners, okay, for our county. Atascosa County, it just barely cuts across the corner of Atascosa County. I talked to Judge Koo. It affects 77 landowners in Atascosa County. And it's just like cuts across the corner, comes out of that corner of Bear County and shoots across Atascosa. Then it goes all across the bottom of Medina County into Uvalde County, south of Uvalde, and then crosses Highway 90 out here somewhere, I would say, between the railroad tracks and the blinking yellow light to the Vulcan mine is where it looks like on the map to me. So, yes, sir.
Judge McCartney, one reason to cut the share of I-10, there are other easements along there, and this line is stuck to those to other pipes or whatever, other lines and hot wires, it would eat up on. That's how bad this thing is. It's a horrible animal.
And that they talked about that last week in Dover about how it can't cross over a similar line. I guess what would run through me right now, the LCRA line, they can't really cross over it because this line would corrode that other line. Newer vehicles, electronics, and things like that. If you leave them sitting within that area, Miss Brown was talking about the static electricity and everything and so forth and whatnot. So it's not a good deal.
I would say also the real reason it's becoming more and more apparent, and there's been several experts come out and say that this is, I mean, there's been a $30 billion deal brokered with Abbott and AI data to make Texas the leader in AI data centers and Meta.
Right.
And all you need is cheap land, water, and electricity. All they have to do is drop in substation off this line. And you have the power to do that.
It's going to go close to our substation up here. It's going to go between us and the mountain right here and stuff and everything. So it's going to be close to the substation if they have to jump over to that one or whatever. I'm assuming that's why they came by this one as close as they did. It's not right beside it, but it's less than a mile away. So, but we're going to do what we can. I've been on the phone several phone calls over the weekend and so forth, and trying to wrap my head around some stuff and what we can do, and so forth. Brent's been hammering on it and everything. I leave today to go to Lubbock, but I'll be on my phone and everything and stuff. I'm sure there'll be a pretty hot topic there. It'll be a judges conference, so I'll probably learn a few things there. But
I'd also encourage people to reach out to Uvalde County and the city of Uvalde to make sure that they're aware that we're waiting on their response to our invitation.
I had a very good conference. I had a very good conversation Friday. Yes, Friday with Judge Bates and Commissioner Copeland, and also the city manager of Uvalde. So they're aware. I mean, like I had a actual face-to-face conversation with those folks. So I asked them to put it on their agenda to get those two replacees, and then we can bring, it's their public meetings, they're posted and so forth and things like that. I'm not going to say we're going to have every one of them right here by no means. So we may have to have one in Valverde if Valverde cares to join. Real County may join us now because they still have blue lines. I talked to Judge Cantu in Maverick County because when it doesn't cross 388, it turns and goes north, kind of like a pipeline route corridor, and then it works its way across the Fern Ranch and then into Valverde County. But when it gets to 277, it kind of goes up 277 for a little ways, but it crosses 277 5 or 6 times. Like north of the checkpoint and just north of Loma Alta. It's going to cross that thing. And I'm like, man, that's some pretty rough country right there. It's zigzag like that. But also, as you know, for decades, they've been talking about the I-27 ports to plains and turning 277 into an interstate. Well, I sent an email to Judge Cantu and to Judge Owens to say, hey, another thing to consider is the impact is that if this power line goes up 277 and then it delays this I-27 corridor deal some more, you know, that their economic planning, they're wanting that I-27 because Del Rio wants to put another port in and the passengers wants to be able to get more traffic, trucks up and down out of Eagle Pass and so forth. The I-27 affects us because it would turn 277 in our part of our county into an interstate and stuff, which probably wouldn't be much fun for you, but puts it right down there by you. But Maverick County may be willing to join the 391, but they're in our top. They're not affected physically by the land of the transmission line, but the potential fact that it can delay that I-27 deal again and stuff. And so that's, I mean, I'm hustling, trying to get other guys in because even the day I spoke to Judge Cantu on the phone, he was going to a meeting with Eddie Morales that afternoon. So he said, I'll mention it to us. I mean, it's just, I don't know if they're not talking to each other up there. You know, that's a federal deal, the interstate deal versus a state deal, but another avenue to talk about. Yes, ma'am.
So those that don't know, the 391 Commission is one of the biggest, strongest powers that we have as a community. The more that you can get on here with us, they cannot do anything without coming to the table and sitting down. They cannot, you can stop it if they have not met with the 391 Commission. So anybody that y'all know in other counties, it's the counties themselves, the cities themselves. It did unbelievable things during those 4 years, and to revamp it, they actually use it between states also. If you have 3 states, they just passed that in the legislation recently, but what they're doing with that, getting ahead of it is phenomenal, like the power of the votes.
Well, anyway, we can support citizens in this neighborhood.
Can citizens be stakeholders?
Not on the 391. It's only government. It's a government entity in there. That's why, like, they appoint, like this commissioners will appoint somebody to it. It'll be me.
The 391 commission, the voting members have to be representatives of the government. Once the commission meets, they can appoint advisors or experts
Things
or
like that.
secretaries.
Yeah, we'll have those. Yeah.
Regard, yes.
Yeah. Environmentalists, engineers, attorney, you know, we're like, let's say like probably like Maverick County and Valverde County, they probably have a county engineer that may like, okay, hey, we're going to be part of this, but you're going to have to help with this, you know, and stuff like that. So
The last thing I was gonna say on letters, and if y'all are promoting that to write letters, they don't care about emotions. The facts of the medical is what they're gonna listen to. They're not gonna listen to anything else. And if you get some doctors or senators that are doctors to join with you on that, they're gonna pay attention. But emotion, they couldn't care less.
Or they environment, they don't care about wildlife.
You know,
hold on. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned that Devil River Conservancy as more of a personal, like, citizen organization that's working on it. Hill Country Alliance is also working on it. So please check out their website. I went to one of their meetings 3 or 4 months ago. There were a few people from the county there as well. But they actually had an impromptu Howard Solstice meeting afterwards. And I believe that people showed up that weren't at the other meeting to show up for that one. You know, that was just, they talked about it at lunch and they said, we're gonna do this, and then so people started showing up at the end to do that. So that's another organization where citizens can get involved. I know y'all are doing what you can with 391, Devil's River Conservancy, but also Hill Country Alliance. And the thing about getting with Hill Country Alliance is exactly what you were talking about before. We know the value of the land within the Hill Country, and we're not actually in the region of the Hill Country Alliance. And so if they're successful, where is that going to push us? So we definitely need to be, you know, in talking with them and be considered in their discussions, because otherwise it just pushes it over into our back.
So we need to focus on stalling and stopping.
Yes,
Not,
Yes.
let's use another route.
No, totally agree, totally agree.
What's happened.
Yeah, well, right, and that's
really
it.
recognized and it's like the traffic resistant. That's why we got chosen.
Right, and that's why we need to get with the public drilling. Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I was only gonna say that whenever you're involved in these meetings with the 391 commission, if you, we can't say anything, but we can show the trucks ongoing and supporting.
Yes.
We'll be outside,
Yes.
raising a ruckus or getting
Well,
press time.
And then kind of visiting with visiting with, coming by my office, hey, these 3 or 4 things, you might have 3 or 4 things, and you might have 2 or 3 things. And then the commission kind of saying, hey, 2 of these are very similar, so let's kind of combine that when we take that to TCEQ or ERCOT or Texas Parks and Wildlife or something like, something like that. So but yeah, we take everybody kind of take the input and then kind of,
There's public comment. There's nothing commission's for.
yeah, there's public.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Are y'all privy to a list of all the landowners that got a letter for the preferred route?
I'm not,
Can you request that?
I did-
See.
probably. I just took the red line. I just took the red line, laid it over and put it on the AEP page, and then took the Kinney County tax appraisal page, and then started walking it, finding landmarks that I could recognize via the satellite, and then started walking it across, and then started calling and texting folks to say, hey, and then at the meeting on Thursday, that's where we learned that some of those folks there got a letter, but they're not part of the red line. They were just happened to be within 500 feet of the proposed route, kind of deal.
Do you want to say anything about the possibility of us trying to get a small group meeting together this week while you're gone?
Are you going to be here all week?
I'll be here all week. I mean, we were trying to reach out to Erath County Judge.
Judge.
For the workshop on filling out these.
Yes. I would, and it may be like Brent, after this, we just call Judge Huckabee and get who we can talk to up there. Maybe I'm trying to find just a simple form that where if you're going to file as a protester, here are the steps. If you're going to file as an intervener, here's your steps. As an intervener, you just got to know that there's going to be, you could be subject to more information requests or something like that. And you got to follow up with that. You got to continue to provide the information if they ask for something or so forth like that, or you get summons to court to appear in court and stuff. You, as an intervener, you got a little bit more responsibility rather than just hitting the submit button and then wait and see. But I agree. Our first step and first hurdle right now is our 391, but then to just try to slow it down to where we can look, hey, let's, it's going to be built, but let's try to work where, hey, where is the least harmful route to go, not necessarily the best economical route for AEP, because it's going to be it's commercial electricity going to be passed on to the consumer to help pay for it.
But it's wonderful for the gas industry.
That's what I'm saying. It's commercial. It's commercial.
But there's a chance to stop at demand, well, then the oil and gas industry needs to pay for this power line, not the consumers. And not just the cost, but if we got a new governor, they could veto this bill.
I mean,
It can't be stopped.
Yeah, they can all. I mean, yes, sir.
Sir, if we can slow it down enough, we can wait till the session reconvenes
Yes,
and perhaps we can.
hopefully.
That's best case scenario.
But the whole, and it's almost going to be to that point anyway by the time the PUC closes their deal on April the 1st. Then their timeline's like 60 days, and then it goes to the judge, or 90 days, I believe, and then it goes to the judge. And there's, I think it's up to 60 days there for all. So, it's going to get pretty close to January 1, 2027 anyway. But I mean, there could be we could throw some other hurdles or speed bumps in there to where we could make sure we get into that bit.
I think the best way, in my own opinion, is to slow it down long enough to get pressure mounted on Austin for them to call a special session to stop it. So we first have to slow it down in order to do that.
All right, we need to keep rolling here. Anybody else?
I was only going to say, that even before the session meets, they begin having a pre-session
Yes.
conferences. If you can make enough hubbub about this and they start throwing yellow flags, that may get the governor's attention.
Especially with the senior members. The senior members are very vital in this deal. All right.
I was just gonna say, I have filed as an intervener, and it's a very simple process, the beginning of it anyway, to meet that as the first deadline.
Yeah.
You know, it's not hard, if I can do it.
All right. Anybody else? All right, we'll take action to approve, removing, Tully Shahan from the 391 and appointing Judge John Paul Schuster as our representative for the commission. So moved by Commissioner Ferrick, second by Commissioner Dobson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign, motion carried. All right, moving on through there. If you're ready, if you want to leave, you're welcome to leave right quick. But it's going to be real loud before, if you want to leave, you're welcome to leave. We understand your heartburn. We appreciate your heart. We don't appreciate it, but we appreciate your interest. But no, hey, my door's always open. Most everybody in here's got my cell phone number and stuff, and know that we're doing all we can as fast as we can with it. But we're our speed versus Austin's speed, we're a little bit behind. But we're working on it, okay? But if you'd like to leave now, you may do so, okay? But it's gonna be loud. Just if it's gonna roll out right quick. I tell you what, hey, Becky, hey, Clinto,
Yeah.
turn over one of those agendas. Hey, if you're here and you want to kind of be in an email chain with, hold on. If you're here and you kind of want to be in an email chain, just turn it over on the back, Clinto, and let them fill out your name and a phone number and email. And if we get something going, or Brent gets something for this week, but relay that message out and around. If you're here and you want to be on that, don't you think, Brent? Kind of start us a little email, phone deal. Let them fill out their name, phone number, and email. Or
Yeah.
if we do a workshop or something.
Yeah.
Run.